So good to see you guys. We are essentially a trailer show now because so much came out just today. So much came out in the past week. It's crazy. One of the biggies is the new Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer. I'm just going to guess, Alonso, that you have seen none of the things I'm about to mention to you.
I have not, but go ahead and spoil them for me anyway.
So are you like a cow or a Dalmatian?
I am the Spot. That's not funny.
It just looks fun. It's just more footage and more Spider-Man, and Miles is trying to keep it all together and like be a student, but also fight crime and deal with the fact that the multiverse, yet another multiverse exists now. There's a very funny bit in the trailer with the Spider-Man pointing meme.
I've seen that photo on Twitter already. And apparently that meme is taking place within the Museum of the Moving Image in New York City.
Oh, well, that's cool, too. There you go. So that comes out on June 2nd. All the films we're going to mention here, we will definitely have reviews of down the road when they come out this summer. We also have a trailer for Barbie.
I thought I might stay over tonight.
Why?
Because we're girlfriend-boyfriend.
To do what?
I'm actually not sure.
Which just looks so silly, and you can really see the Greta Gerwig-ishness of it all. In terms of making the Ken dolls so stupid and making the Barbies all brilliant. There's also a series of posters that came out today, character images that came out today of just the crazy all-star cast, Dua Lipa and Issa Rae and Emerald Fennell.
Hari Neff.
Yeah, and like Simu Liu is another Ken. All the Kens are just Kens. Anyway,
Yes.
it's a very funny bit. That comes out on July 21st.
There's a meme going around of Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar, like yelling from the other side of the bookcase, and it says Christopher Nolan looking back at his decision to release Oppenheimer the same day as Barbie.
I mean, we will of course have reviews of both of them for you, but like, what would I rather watch? So there's that. There is a trailer for Wes Anderson's Asteroid City that came out in the past week.
I don't like the way that guy looked at us. The alien.
How did he look?
Like we're doomed.
Maybe we are.
Yeah, that's coming out on June 16th. That looks like a Wes Anderson movie with, a lot of his usual suspects there in the cast. And
Wes Anderson movies tend to look like Wes Anderson movies.
There you go. So that's coming out. And then as far as television goes, Secret Invasion, there's a trailer for that series, which will be on Disney Plus starting on June 21st.
Where are the Avengers? This war is one I have to fight alone.
Cool. And we'll be talking about that for our Patreon.
For sure. And that looks really cool. That looks like serious, substantive espionage. Nick Fury is back without an eye patch. And, he's not only dead, but not only alive, rather, but he's not dead, and he's not in space, and he's back on Earth, and he's having to like fight one last battle. It looks kind of like the Andorization of the Marvel world. It looks very serious.
There's always been, some dabbles in kind of trying to play around with genres within the superhero movie. And like, I think you could make the case that, was it Civil War? Is that which is the Captain America movie that people try
Winter
to
Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Thank you.
That's like their 70s paranoid thriller. Yeah.
Exactly. People compare to 3 Days of the Condor or whatever with Redford and everything. So yeah, I could see where on the heels of something like Ms. Marvel, which is a very different show than say Loki was, which was different than WandaVision was. I can see where this one could be like, cool spy show that happens to involve, shape-shifting aliens.
Right, yeah. So Ben Mendelsohn along those lines is in it, and Olivia Colman.
Ooh.
And it's a really interesting cast. So we will definitely be recapping that for you on our Patreon starting June 21st when that comes out. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And that has been announced that and the new Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, will both be premiering at Cannes.
Yes, Dial of Destiny is premiering at Cannes on my birthday, which is what Crystal Skull did, and I had to go schlep to Paramount to see it on my birthday, which was not a great day. But
why? Don't you feel like it's their personal gift to you?
No, because I had to see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I didn't think it was very good. But this year, it's like, you know what? I will get to Dial of Destiny in time for us to review it, but I'm not seeing it on my birthday. I'm planting that flag now, not giving another birthday to Indiana Jones.
All right. Well, maybe he made you a cake. And you won't know if you don't show up.
He can call me.
Right. And James Mangold taking over as director this time on Dial of Destiny. That comes out on June 30th. Did I mention that Barbie comes out on July 21st? Anyway, and then we also have Blue Beetle, which is like a character I'd never heard of in my entire life.
What the?
Host acquired.
Who said that? It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
I have only kind of sketchy knowledge of this character because he came around after I really stopped reading comics aggressively. Mm-hmm. There were two previous Blue Beetles. One back in like the 40s, and he was like, Egyptian archaeologist, and he finds a scarab and it gives him powers. Then the second Blue Beetle was more sort of like Bruce Wayne, rich guy, builds himself a big flying bug. If you remember the Night Owl characters from Watchmen, they were both based on Blue Beetle.
Okay.
This third Blue Beetle is like kind of the Miles Morales version where it's like teen Latinx character. I think aliens are involved. I don't know, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, it looks really fun, and it looks like light and playful, and it looks a lot like the Tom Holland incarnation of Spider-Man, where he's just a kid and is like overwhelmed and like, what is this? And the playfulness of being a teenager is crucial to how he reacts to this.
Yes, but it is also one of the sort of pre-James Gunn movies, so it's like, will we ever see this character again? Who knows?
Yes. So that is coming out on August 18th. Okay, that does it for us for trailers. Most importantly, Gwyneth Paltrow is not liable in her ski crash trial. We followed this breathlessly. Gavel to gavel coverage of the Gwyneth Paltrow ski crash trial. They found her not liable. So the guy with whom she collided has to pay her $1 and cover her legal fees. And as she was leaving the courtroom, she leaned over and she whispered in his ear, "I wish you well."
Which, was it Americana brand that said that's Brentwood for bless your heart?
Bless your heart. There's going to be a live-action Moana with Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
I don't need any more of these. Who likes these?
That's the thing. Like these are such a corporate thing. Generally speaking, I don't know that anybody is clamoring for these non-animated versions of animated classics from Disney. And I mean, and when we say live action, like, what do we even mean? Because, you get stuff like Lion King and Jungle Book where it's like all CG anyway. So, yeah, I don't know if this is just Dwayne Johnson wanting it to get made while he's still able to play that role again or what. But, yeah, all right, fine, whatever, Disney, do your thing.
And does Ali Carvalho get to come back and be Moana?
One would hope, but I mean, like, maybe she's aged out. I don't know.
Right? Because that was like, how many years ago was Moana? Several. There's also going to be an anime version of Scott Pilgrim versus the World with like the whole cast coming back.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting given who all is in that cast.
Yeah, no, definitely. I could see where that'd be the movie where, like, no matter how famous you get afterwards, you're still happy to have been a part of it. And of course, obviously with animation, voices, as long as the people will commit to actually doing it, they can do it over the phone, over Zoom. They don't all have to be in the same room at the same time. So, they can make it work.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Cera and Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Aubrey Plaza and Anna Kendrick and Chris Evans. And it's just a crazy.
Kieran Culkin and Jason Schwartzman. Yeah.
Brie Larson. So,
Chris Evans.
Yes, there you go. So we will talk about that for sure as that comes along. But I did not recall loving Scott Pilgrim, so I will have to revisit it before that comes out just to see if maybe my opinion has changed somewhat.
I liked it a lot, but I mean, it definitely is. If we're going to map out interesting with Super Mario coming out, like the beginnings of video game stuff bleeding into movies, and not just like literal video game adaptations, but just sort of video game aesthetics making their way into sort of cinema narrative. That's definitely a major turning point.
Sarah Polley's daughter had a very funny April Fool's Day joke. She's 11 years old, and she had the presence of mind to send her mom a letter totally serious, pretending to be from the academy, saying, "Oops, there's been a mistake. you didn't actually win your best, adapted screenplay Oscar for Women Talking. It should have gone to All Quiet on the Western Front. So anyway, so she got her. That was pretty funny.
I would say next time, rig up some Academy letterhead. I'm sure you can find something online that looks more official, but otherwise, well played, young lady.
Yes, and the director of All Quiet, Edward Berger, had fun
yes.
tweeting about that as well. So that was very cute. We've had a request to talk about A.O. Scott's decision to leave film criticism. And I kind of feel like it's a whole nother conversation that I want to have more in depth.
Yeah,
maybe we talk about it more deeply on the next Ask Us Anything. I'd like to do that, but to briefly touch on it, because this is a thing that happened in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
Tony Scott, who's been a film critic for 23 years, decided I'm not going to be a film critic anymore. I'm going to stay at the New York Times. I'm going to resume doing book criticism, which is what he began doing prior to getting this job, and pointed to a lot of reasons, one of which is just the tribalism within fandom.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. I was trying to think, does that kind of thing exist in the world of books? And I mean, I suppose, your hardcore YA folks have their, fans, but I mean, yeah, probably nothing the way that it has gotten with movies. And I get it. I think there is a lot of kind of corporate tribalism going on where people really relate to some product or other and decide that is so essential to their personality that none may say anything against it, or else that person becomes your enemy. And so, I mean, that stuff's out there. I just do a lot of blocking on Twitter when it comes up. But if Tony would rather just remove himself from the fray, then I get it. I can't imagine the kind of shit you have to deal with at that level of exposure. I mean, Sean Hannity didn't bitch about our top 10 lists, but boy, he went after Manola's,
We liked EO.
Yes.
He doesn't care about us. So I want to dig into this a little more in depth, but I do want to say that one thing I love about our community here on YouTube is that I feel like it's more enlightened, more open-minded, less polarized. I think we try to foster a kind of civilized discourse here where that kind of name-calling and, a kind of animosity does not exist.
One would hope.
So that's all because of you guys. So thanks for being you. We got to mention a couple of deaths.
Yes.
Ryuichi Sakamoto, legendary Japanese composer, died at 71.
Co-star and composer of the score for Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. Won an Oscar for The Last Emperor alongside David Byrne, but also, did a lot of amazing stuff in the world, in the non-cinematic realm of music as well. So yeah, he was legendary.
Yes. And then today is the 10-year anniversary of Roger Ebert's death.
You knew him better than I did, but we both had encounters with him over the years. Mine, real briefly, I've told this story in print, but 95, the first year I was artistic director of the USA Film Festival, was the festival's 25th anniversary, and he came in for it. He and Chaz came and couldn't have been more supportive. And he was somebody obviously that I had grown up watching. I started watching sneak previews when it premiered in the mid 70s, kind of really molded. Didn't necessarily make me want to be a film critic, but maybe realize that film critic was a job that people did. And so, that kind of was an inspiration that way, and somebody I always read and listened to and paid attention to if we didn't always agree. And so to meet him at that moment and have him come in at this event that I was putting together that was such a big deal really meant the world to me. And, but yeah, I mean, you were the lead of his last TV show.
Yeah, I owe him a great deal of my career. I feel so lucky and so honored that he took a chance on me, of all people. And I never had an actual conversation with him because by the time I actually met him, he was no longer able to speak. But I felt like he did so much to make you feel like he was present and conveying his total authentic self to you in the moment.
Yes.
I never had any doubt that what he was saying to me in whatever form was totally earnest and sincere. And I enjoyed his writing even more on other topics that were not about films. I enjoyed his writing about alcoholism and about his rice cooker. And, he was expansive in later years. So, thinking about Roger a lot, but especially today.